Good morning, everybody. It's flannel season in Maine. It will be flannel season from now until April. April. Oh, Mark in Romeoville says, what a great trade. I'm assuming you mean the Amazon trade from Monday in the Ticker Highlight Show. I actually picked up some more Amazon shares for myself on that very day. Just letting you know. If you're missing out, Monday's Ticker Highlight Show, probably one of the more fun things we do. Because we look at the trade ideas at the beginning of the week before, and then we kind of see how things percolate by the time Monday comes around. So just as a side note there, but I also got to give credit to Mark. He does a good job picking the best ideas. He has done very, very well on that. Then we get Leisha when she throws in a couple of candles for us. Then we got Hans with the little fundamental analysis, income Hans. All right, but today things are, by the way, I'm just going to mention this today. VIX, the biggest screw job today ever. And I'll explain for a second just kind of why. So you're like, wow, VIX is up. All right, let's look at a couple-day chart, just understanding price movement, right? So we closed at a relative low here yesterday, 17.5. And we had a 1-point markup today. Now, what makes option prices here? So you go 30 days out, it is not that hard for liquidity providers or firms to move the bid up, meaning the bid is just this. So in SPX, this is where the options matter. SPX is essentially unchanged. And we got a little bit of a markdown today. All right, so that was 13 points. So what happens is if you go 30 days out, the October futures expired today, but that doesn't have a lot to do. Scavenger saying October, it doesn't have a lot to do with the actual SPX. Because those contracts, right, they stopped trading yesterday. So if you go out 30 days, so today is the 22nd, so we're almost at Thanksgiving options. So I'm going to go to the 20th. So what happens is VIX as an index picks up all of the option prices all the way down in SPX, way down for every option that has a bid. So you're picking up option prices all the way down here to the 2,800. So basically, you see a trade down there, a 48 lot trade. So again, a little bit of a push here makes VIX go higher easily because this is where all right, you're getting a little bit of trade down here, 1, 2, 3, 4 lots printing. You see all these 1 lots printing here, guys? So it's just enough, right? If those things print a little high, it's enough to push the VIX higher overall in the morning. Doesn't take much, right? Because again, this is it's going to take a snap, and the SIBO has tried to do the best they can with this, but it's just the nature of the index. Normally, I don't like holding on to stuff. I did hold on to some 17.5 puts, mostly because I didn't close them when I had the chance a couple weeks ago. And I thought there might be a decent shot at a lower print. So if you're looking at what we have, right, is the market moving a lot? If you're looking at today, right, is our stocks moving anything close to an 18.5 VIX? So just as a little refresher reminder for y'all, and there we go here. As a little refresher reminder, okay. Because we're going to talk about what's really been making the market, or where I think where the expression of volatility has been going to, right? So if I go down here a little bit, so Mattman is also saying Beyond Meat showed up 6,000% on my screen, and then Toss wouldn't let me sell. No market, no limit. I believe Beyond Meat halted trading for a while, Mattman. A lot of those really tough, hard to borrow stocks, you have to have limit orders in GTC, because that way when it opens, it will take all the limits out. And then if you have this huge move, they'll halt trading because of volatility. Right. So I'm just, I didn't see exactly what's happened. But sometimes those halts mess up those trading systems. Yeah, I think Interactive Brokers is probably the most robust system out there, because Interactive Brokers was built on top of a market making system. Is it possible to Beyond would be? Beyond's not going to be in my F7 scanner, Jose. That's only in Mark's AI scanner. It's too much of a an issue. Yeah, so Mark's AI scanner is meant for that. All right. So what I wanted to cover today was, remember what VIX is for, right? So VIX, and then I'm going to relate this here to gold for a second. And GLD. So we have a VIX, 16 VIX is 1% per day. Oops. So is anybody looking here at where we have, you see 16 VIX, that means the market is expecting 1% per day close to close in SPX. Now, when you look at where we are today, I think we're trading around 1840. Now, this is 1% per day close to close on average for 30 days. when you're looking at the VIX as an index, it is telling you how much something is going to move for that entire period of time, the expected move every day. So for trading at an 1840 VIX, we're looking at like about, I'm going to say around 1.25% per day. Maybe not that much. 32. So like, I don't know, it's like 1/8, 2 points, about 1/8. So I'll say about 1.2% per day. So at 1.18, right? Percent per day. Okay. Now, the idea is, can you take this volatility concept and move it to other products like gold, for instance, or Apple or Amazon or any other trading product that's on the planet? Does VIX is for SPX, but could you find the same information for, let's say, gold? Why is gold doing what it's doing, right? If I think about it, volatility in general is just market movement. Okay. Option prices are telling you how much we expect per day. Now, in general, when there is uncertainty around, like right now, there's a lot of uncertainty around the shutdown, around government spending, right? All kinds of stuff. Now, Frank is going to cover this, I believe, more in detail on Friday, but the shutdown creates uncertainty. Okay. And when you have uncertainty, investors look for something that's solid. Now, I don't know about you, but is there anything more solid than a big hunk of gold? No. So what we have right now is that bid for options, that interest in options, is spilling over into gold, pushing up all the option prices in the gold complex. So gold is basically taking up a lot of the volatility in the market. It's absorbing the volatility in the market that the VIX and SPX is pricing. Now, how many people have been looking at earnings? So if you're in here, if you follow stocks, and if you've been following earnings, what has mostly been the earnings trend currently? Have earnings mostly been good or bad right now? Like, I would say on balance, the surprises have been on the upside. Right? It's been good, except for Netflix might have suffered from a little bit of, programming issues. We'll just be kind and say maybe some people turned off some of their Netflix subscriptions. But for the most part, I'm talking about stocks that have, companies that make stuff. Okay. Well, when you have days here, let's just take a couple things, right? And I think this is a little bit of the opportunity that's coming around with Mark and Delta Strike, right? So Mark's opening up Delta Strike today, but this is where some of these opportunities here are going to come from, right? You've got, beep, this is 3M. Okay. Here's another stock that I own, ISRG. I own 3M too. Okay. ISRG. Beep. Okay. $72. So there is opportunity in the upside, still real opportunity in the upside. Jose said he did mention that banks should be a good opportunity due to retracement in price. He will probably cover banks in the Delta Strike open house today, Jose, right? Seeing if there's any accumulation where some dough is coming back into those names, right? Because if companies are making money, in general, how do banks do? Do banks go south or do banks go north? Just saying, you might want to stop into Mark's show. And there should be links up there somewhere for that. If you guys could put some links in for Mark's open house at Delta Strike, that would be great. Put them up here somewhere. That'd be cool. Now, let's take a look where, the point is you can have volatility on the upside. Right. Sign up in there. The price is right. Right. The price is right for today for Delta Strike. There'll be some goodies in there for you. So now looking at, okay, what's going on here today? Let's take a look at what's been going on with gold. Okay. All right. Massive run up. Now volatility kind of peaked and is starting to drain out. It's starting to drain out. Now notice one thing about gold that is different than most I would say financial instruments is that when gold rises, the option prices rise. So gold option prices peaked here. Now, I'm not saying that this is the top for gold, but I am kind of feeling this is the beginning of the end for the top in gold. I like the idea of leaning a little short in here. Because once gold, and let's just look at like a 3-month run here. Now, when you put it in this perspective, right? Because the problem is there is finite source for gold. I don't follow Bitcoin a ton, so I don't have a direct answer for Bitcoin. I just know historically when you have a turn down like this in gold, you might get a mini pop in here. But once you get kind of that volatility relief, right? Can everybody see this 30-day line? So this red line here is 30-day volatility. And so somewhere along the line, and I don't know what broke the bubble, maybe, just maybe, the bank earnings last week were good enough to delay some of the problems, or also Trump saying, well, I'm going to sit down with President Xi and I'm sure we can work things out. Both of those things are probably strong, what I would just call, strong sentiment indicators that is pushing gold volatility down. But when gold volatility drops, it historically, that is usually the beginning of the end for the stock, especially after you have these parabolic up moves. Now in rip zone, we are kind of riding a trade in there, leaning a little short right now. But for in here and for Mark and Delta Strike and the opportunity that's going on, you want to see if big money is starting to pile in, right? Piling in to some earnings names. Let's go through a brief history of some near-term surprises. AMD. Barely covered once, right? We had one pop. I think I had one little short covering here in AMD. Still, boom. Oracle. Now, Oracle has come off some, but I have to say it's still held up pretty well. It's going to seesaw back and forth on the AI thing. But we're talking about big cap companies, Mag 7, that still can surprise. And I think that's one of the reasons why volatility premiums are still so high in the market in general. Do you understand kind of the reason that is? These are not normal moves. Okay. AMD doing this and then holding up here after almost a 60-point gap. These are not normal moves. And this is why you want to check out Mark today, right, doing his open session of Delta Strike. Because what we're getting is not normal. It's not normal for a $1 trillion company to gap 30%. It's not normal for gold to run $1,000 in 3 months. Vicky's just saying Beyond Meat halted at 10.11. That was kind of funny. Having a stock squeeze do crazy things, that is normal, actually. That's why you have to check out Alpha AI, but that's another story. But right now, I'm trying to point out that, like, watching gold, this is symptomatic. That's why volatility is still relatively high, even though the market is at all-time highs. When I was an SPX trader, and this will give you kind of the, right? So when I'm an SPX pit trader in the old days, moves like this are very low volatility moves moving to the top. Do you guys hear? This is 30-day volatility. How much a stock is moving over a period of time. They generate very, very low numbers because they're so steady and small day to day. But when you look at the range over 2 weeks, they're relatively large. So they're 200, 250 points over a 2-week period. The liquidity providers aren't stupid. They're going to keep dragging volatility up as the market moves up. They're going to drag option prices up as the market moves up. They're going to continue to make things, price things, until someone sells them options. And right now, there is opportunity in the earnings cycle with big tech. And that's what Mark is going to go over today. That's why we're doing Delta Strike Open House this week, right? This week prior to all of the Mag 7. Because the opportunities are going to come now, not right after. So he wants to see what is going on. Okay, big prediction here right at the end because we're about to be done. You guys all need to check out Mark and Delta Strike today. He's also going to introduce a goodie there that you want to check out. Do you see VIX dropping to 13 by year end? I think anything is possible once the shutdown is over. If the shutdown is over, we definitely can see that again. Because right now, right, we're going to see a CPI number at the end of the week. Not if Trump keeps talking. Well, in Trump's first term, we saw the lowest volatility in a decade, Jose. Jose's saying if Trump keeps talking. But we have seen the lowest vol in a decade. So it can happen. It can happen. Because it's happened before. By the way, what's one of my favorite things to say? I've been trading options for 35 years. If it happened before, can it happen again? Is that the easiest thing when you're trading to think of? If it happened before, can it happen again? Yeah, that's why Mark's Alpha AI scanner is so much fun. Because if it's squeezed before, if one stock squeeze does this, another stock squeeze can do that. It's the whole point. And right now, from an opportunity point of view, you want to check out what's going on in big cap, big tech, because we have historic moves for stocks that are trillion-dollar companies. And that's why you want to check it out today. The room is free. The links are up top. And that's what's going on. You're seeing basically, right, historic uncertainty. Market is dipping right now. I don't know where it's going to bounce. I've been talking to you guys for a half hour, the OG man. I don't know. You brought up AMD and now it's dropping big. Tune in with Mark. Learn some more. I'm just letting you know that all those stocks gapped big. If you want the next opportunity, sign up there. But for right now, it's 10:30 and I am done. You guys have a good day. But remember, big volatility means something. Means things can move. Have a good day, everybody. I'm out.